on the Gaelic Harp. And these have been open to the public free of charge. And it's an arts learning grant, which means that we can only have fun about 90% of the time. And it's been a wonderful, my husband Charlie and I would really like to thank the citizens of Minnesota for supporting their arts. And this is an arts learning grant, as I said, and part of the project has been not only to educate the public about my instrument, but to teach student harpers. And a problem with this is that there aren't very many instruments or teachers available. So in each community, I received, there were 2 harps that a harper could receive, and if they stayed part of the program for the year, it would become their instrument. They had to string it and tune it, which is no small feat. That in the old days took 4 months for a harp to be strung and tuned, and learn to play it. And so it's been a wonderful journey. This is the harp of the Gaelic-speaking people, and it has over 1,000 years of oral tradition. And it's the type of harp that's on the back of every Irish coin. It's the type of harp that's used as the Guinness logo. And there are about 12 surviving historical instruments ranging from the medieval time to the 18th century, and actually into the 18th century. This is a copy of the downhill harp made in 1702. And one of the harp learners is playing my copy, a replica of the downhill harp, and the original being made in 1702. And this is like that instrument in its stringing, but it doesn't have the lower 3 strings. And it's not, the sound box isn't hollowed out of one piece of wood. But that harp is my harp. So it's a good instrument to learn on for string spacing and string length. The harp that I play there is a copy of the Trinity College harp, which they don't have a firm dating on it. It's probably sometime in the 14th century. But for it to sound good, it needs precious metal strings. The entire bass on that instrument is strung in high carat gold. And that seems a little bit pricey for a beginner harp, and I think it's why they changed the harp shape from this to a high-headed harp, longer bass strings. With the density of gold, you have more mass, so you don't need the length for the bass pitches, as much length. I got into this, I fell in love with Irish music, and then I fell in love with the fellow who played it. And I read about the harp that no one played anymore, and read a description of it. And it was in a book that was 3 books that were put together in a compilation that were published in it was music collected at the end of the 1700s, when the last of the harpers, their music was finally collected. And it's been a long journey. I started early, my interest in it started early, and I kept with it, and I became the world expert in this instrument. So I'm from Minnesota and have always lived here, but have done a lot of touring. This summer we were on tour in Australia the entire month of July. I was there at the World Harp Congress in August. I was in Ireland in February for the entire month of August. In February I was in Germany for 3 weeks. I'm better known over there than here in Minnesota. And we go to both coasts, but I sort of think I have to travel quite a distance to find an audience. So anyhow, I'm so grateful for the Rochester Civic Theater for working as community partners with us and their staff and helping us have these 5 seminars here. The other ones we did more learning at. We're going to have more fun at this one. That's why we call it Celebration. And there's a little reception after to help with the celebration part too. And let's see what else. And also host nearly monthly get-togethers for lessons when we'd come down. They also hosted that. So time to get going and play some music. Is anyone going to join me? Here we go. We'll get ready to play.
Oh, just got your face in there a bunch.
I'm checking, make sure she can see.
Now, are you able to hear me? Yeah, okay. The first tunes, there are the first tunes collected from the harpers. These were tunes that were taught to the student harpers in the early 1700s, and they have a common hand position. And I learned this from working with the manuscripts that were written from the last of, the players were there, and a young 19-year-old organist wrote down the music that was played, and this is information from the manuscripts. And the first piece to play is Fair Molly. And if you listen, just the melody line, you will hear harmony. I'll show you how it goes. Listen, Janet's going to show you how it goes. Janet Rader will show how Fair Molly goes, and then we'll join in. Butterfly. I sort of think the second part of the tune is when the butterfly moves its wings. March, and this is a fun piece to play. There's a theme, a short theme, and then a series of variations, which sort of works as like a needlepoint sampler, in that it's a framework and you can plug in different treble hand techniques. And in playing it, your hands work bass, treble, so it's like right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And this same order is seen in a piece from the 13th or 14th century from a harp collection in Wales, a very early piece. It's probably the earliest piece of notated harp music. And the same configuration of bass, treble, bass is apparent in that one. And right, left, right. If you're thinking that we're looking a little different up here, it's because modern harp players play on this shoulder with the right hand playing the treble notes yes? And the left hand, the bass. But the old
Sort
Irish
of like
harp,
the piano.
the old Irish harpers and Scottish harpers and Welsh harpers played on the left shoulder with the right hand, the bass. Yeah? And so this piece sort of features that, and I like to say that the hand position features these two strings in the center of the harp, and all of the players here are using this feature, and this is a feature that goes back into the old Irish period, pre-900. They tuned these two strings like that, and then the rest of the harp from them. And the word for it is Nicoli, lying together conjugally. And in Old Irish, it's Nacablathy, which means fornication. So, the entire gamut of the harp is gotten from these original strings. So these are like the Adam and Eve strings, if you will. Yeah? And, oh, one more thing. We're hoping you'd join in with us. After we get our bearings here, we play through it like 6 times, so you'll have a chance to practice. There's a little Irish phrase here. Imbo gasum, imbo gus agus umbo. Gus is sort of like a contraction, like apostrophe N for and, or something like that. Imbo, so you can say it. Imbo gus umbo. And it means steal a cow and eat a cow. So Charlie will show you how it, or I'll show you how it goes, but once we get playing here, so you can hear the lovely music first of all. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. See how it works? Right, left, right, right, left, right, right. Imbo gasumbo, imbo gasumbo. There's a piece called The Yellow Goat, and the goat nearly escaped.
I'm okay with that.
Let's see, Gauran Brie.
Gavrin Bui.
Oh,
An Gavrin Bui,
on Gavrin Bui.
the yellow goat.
Oui.
Ah, good, good. Renandul?
Rena Duo. All right. This is what you might call a little kind of a spell song. A magic song that was sung by whoever it was, usually the woman of the house, at night when she was preparing the fire for when the household went to bed, so that there would still be embers burning in the morning when they woke up to start the next fire.
But it's sort of a prayer too, and the second line is the line Isa, which is Jesus.
Isa lam nam chun nam. Well, the words are Rinandul, which means King of heaven, King of heaven. Rinandul. Small and turlach, smoor the fire, smearing the fire was throwing ashes over the burning fire so that a lot of air couldn't reach the fire. It wouldn't put it out. It was still smothering it, smoring it. It's sort of smothering it, but it wouldn't, not quite enough to put it out. So it would still burn, but just barely burn all through the night. And then in the morning, so small and turlach. Isa lam nam hum nam hushka, meaning Jesus with me, sleeping and waking. And then the last line is Rinandul, King of heaven again. And small and turlach, smore the fire, is and isba lejor, and drown with tears. And this is the way it goes.
Charlie tune. Tune up that low note again. The second one there. Yeah, the tenor one.
Thank you. How can I dance a bonny reel when a button is off the hem of my coat?
This next song, sorry, I'm not spreading that horrible cold that's been going around the world. I've had it a long time ago. I cough all the time, and I am totally well. I'm as healthy as a horse. I cough daily like this 10 times a day.
Oh, no.
So, I'm sorry. This next song, you see these sheets in front of you. Those are words that one of the students in the program, not here in Rochester, but from another area, wrote, and it helped her learn the piece of music. She composed the words and to go with the song, so we're going to play it, and you'll pick up the melody right off the bat. This is from a lute manuscript from the early 1600s. Woe betide thy weary body, and I think of it as as a dance, but starting really slowly and then picking up in tempo as it goes on, and that's what she did with the words. And you're welcome to sing along here. Charlie, do you have the words there in front of you?
No, I don't, but I can have them here. You just...
Thanks.
We had someone awfully willing to give away their words.
I see she's sharing.
She's sharing, that's a good sign. Okay, so we're going to get started here to show you how the melody goes. So, let's start low. One and two and four.
Now start to slow down. You are just as tired as we. We are really done.
Yes, okay. So next song we are going to do is called Canaries? Canaries, okay. And it's the song from early 1600s. And this, people thought this song and the dance is from Canary Islands, which is a Spanish-owned island. So, is it a Spanish song?
Well, it's up for grabs, and the academic head of the music department at University of Cork put it in a book on early Irish music. He thinks it's an Irish tune. And that's not too crazy in that it's in 6/8, and there were a lot of Irish people who settled in the southwest part of Spain. So
There's certainly a sort of a Spanish-y flavor to it, a flamenco-y flavor to it. To my ear.
he's imagining dancing to it. Okay. We have to be careful not to go too fast for the dancers because they have to fit in like 4 beats to each note of ours. Or something like that. Here, Murray's going to start it. We'd like to invite Sinead Chickup for reading a wonderful account of the following piece that we're going to be played on the harp, and we're going to sort of do this together. And we decided to do this piece because it's 2014, but it's about it's named Brian Boru's March, and Brian Boru was killed at the Battle of Clontarf in 1014. So this is 1,000 years since the Battle of Clontarf, where Brian Boru was killed. And he was the first High King or Ardri of Ireland. And oddly enough, he was a Kennedy as well. He was called Brian Boru, but he was of the Kennedy clan, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. All great men are Kennedys.
Oh, and there's one Heyman. There's one Heyman, yeah. And a few others too.
Right. After lifting the hot tumbler to his lips, Byrne, the blind harper, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play for you the celebrated march of the great King Brian to the field of Clontarf, where he gave the Danes a drubbing. The Irish army are far off, but if you listen attentively to the music, you will hear the faint sound of their music." Then his fingers would wander over the upper range of strings with so delicate a touch that you might fancy it was a fairy music heard from afar. Anything more fine, more soft, and more delicate than this performance is impossible to conceive. They are coming nearer, and the sound increases in volume. Now here they are, and the music rolled loud and full, and so the march went on, the fingers of the player's right hand wandering farther down the bass range. You find it hard to keep your feet quiet, and you feel inclined to be a part of the march yourself. You fancy you see the troops dashing fearlessly onward, with the great old king and the fierce Murroch at their heads. Onward they go with laugh, song and blithe jest, as is the fashion of the Irish when sweeping towards an embrace of battle. Then the music becomes stronger and louder, and there is a deeper rumbling of the bass, with an occasional harmonic thud with the right, producing a remarkable effect. Now there they're at, Irish and Danes. The music suddenly changes to the middle range. It is hard and harsh, clang, clang, like the fall of a sword or axe upon armor. The blows showering thickly, and that harmonic thud comes frequently, but on a higher string, which gives it a sterner and more fitting effect. The right hand produces an artistic confusion with starts and rugged chords, while the left continues playing that melody more quietly. Presently, the right rushes down pell-mell amongst the bass strings. The Danes are broken. They are falling back. Then the fingers of the left hand suddenly sweep up along the treble strings, producing a shriek-like sound. That's the Irish cry of victory. Immediately, the music assumes a merry, lightsome character, as if it were being played for dancers, rejoicing for victory. This abruptly ceases. There's another shriek and a discord, jangling and confusion in the upper bass strings. The harper explains, as usual, they have found the old king murdered in his tent. Then the air becomes much slower, and the singularly plaintive mourning for Brian's death, there is a firmer and louder touch now, with occasional plaintive effects with the left hand. They are marching down with the brave old king's body to Drogheda. The music now assumes a slow and steady tone, the tune being played on the middle range. Gradually the tone is lowered and grows momentarily louder and louder, till finally it dies away.
Okay, well, Charlie, you didn't need to put your accordion down there. We're going to finish up now with a set of dance tunes here. And let's see, and then I'll have a few words to say after this. So we're not quite done yet. And here's some dance tunes. Let's see. Charlie, let me tune this note. So I would like to thank so much. After one year of playing, they are doing amazingly well. If you can imagine switching to the left hand high, right hand low, playing just one year, they're just doing really amazingly well on what Derek Bell, he was the chieftain, he was the harper for so many years with the Chieftains. Derek Bell, if you remember him, he wrote me a letter. He used to call me the professor. and he had these wild letters, and he wrote me a letter and saying that the Irish metal-strung harp was more difficult to play than any other harp, even more difficult to play than the Pleyel chromatic harp. That's what he wrote.
Whatever that is.
It has lots of strings. The Pleyel. Anyhow, so I have little certificates here on completing, and they earn their harps on this. Janet, here, this is for you. There, you're welcome. And Kathy Worley, she's playing on one of my harps. She didn't earn a harp on this because we had only 2 per community, but she's worked every bit as hard and kept the Downhill Beast in tune for me. She also, I don't know how many of you go to dog shows, but Kathy's a breeder of Norwich Terriers, and they win all over the country, her dogs. She's top-of-the-line breeder of Norwich Terriers, so that's what you see if you want something that's even more difficult to take care of than a harp.
The harp is quiet.
And harps are quieter than Norwich Terriers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Maria Mitsumi.
It's our turn though, because I wear this pin, not only in memory of a really dear friend of mine, but also because I love the Gaelic Harp. And it was a year ago this month that I first got to see you perform here, thanks to the Minnesota State Arts Board and the Rochester Civic Field.
Oh.
And it's such a gift that you give us. And
thank
just
We've got some visiting to do after this. We've got a little reception here. There's cheeses and some fruit and some Scottish single malt in honor of their election. I see it as their failed election, the referendum. But I don't think it's over yet. But anyhow, there's that to sample. But thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, because it's all dark outside.